Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the North Bank podcast, where we talk all things Arsenal. I'm joined today by Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm tired, actually.
Tell us
So, compared to the previous podcast, we should be far more upbeat and positive. Some 48 hours after a comfortable 3-1 home thrashing of Chelsea. So help me out here. Why don't I feel that way?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of too little too late, really, isn't it? And although it's always nice to give Chelsea a hiding, it did feel a bit like this is the possibly the team as well that we maybe should have gone with a few games ago. I'm sure we'll come on to that. But yeah, I feel like in the ground there was a sense of getting behind them, but the guys around me, we were talking and everyone was of the same opinion, let's enjoy this game because we're not feeling terribly optimistic about obviously the title. So yeah.
Yeah, so you had the pleasure of being at the game. I only started watching it after about 32, 33 minutes, just before we scored a third goal. I obviously kept an eye on the score, so I knew what was happening and I knew how dominant we'd been. But just to, in Stefan's absence, I'll just read a message that he sent before kickoff at the game. Tuesday, what's that, Thursday? 2 days ago. I asked him what the atmosphere was like because I was curious, and he said the atmosphere has an impotent feel. People are trying, but their hearts aren't in it. So, is that something
That's
that you?
He's in the posh seats, isn't he?
He's not. No, we're not. We're in the singing section in the North Bank.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we rough it.
It wasn't as raucous as the games where we felt like there was more at stake. Let's be honest. It just felt like not a dead rubber, but it just felt like we've kind of blown it. And
a bit after the Lord Mayor's show,
right? And we're just going to get behind the team because they've given us a lot this year, and like I said, it's always good to beat Chelsea. So yes, it was a bit subdued, but it didn't feel negative, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the atmosphere has been rocking for regardless. Fulham at home, Spurs at home, United at home. The atmosphere has, by and large, been off the scales
we peaked,
this season,
didn't we? With Bournemouth, I think that's where it really peaked because of the drama of it. But unfortunately, obviously, things have happened since then that mean that we're, this game didn't really have as much at stake.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the team news. So there were 3 changes. Kivior came in for Holding, Jorginho for Partey, and Trossard for Martinelli. How did they? I mean, the first 30 minutes again, I didn't see. So it from all the statistics and what I've read, it was a pretty electric start, dominant start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, begs the question.
Well, yeah. I mean, on one side, I do think we have to mention how awful Chelsea were because they were the perfect opponent for us. They really did not have a clue. They were just headless chickens at times. I don't know if you saw the goals and how they just in defence they were all over the place. But credit to us, we took the game to them, and bar a couple of moments where they'd kind of put their foot on the ball, it was just all us. So it was the kind of perfect opponent in that respect.
Yeah. So judging Kivior at centre back, Holding would have probably had a similar game.
Well, yes, I imagine so. And I thought, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that he started instead of Holding. To be honest, he wasn't tested that much. So it's very hard to judge him. If he plays at St James's Park, then we can have this conversation because
okay, so
Callum
do you
Wilson
think
is a different proposition.
Yeah, do you think he will?
I do, yeah. I do think he will.
I wonder about Gabriel. I haven't heard anything in terms of his injury, but
yeah,
it wasn't the first injury he went down with, which was more like a thigh injury. It was the goal, actually. It was the challenge he put in for the Chelsea goal scorer, and and it was his ankle, and I hope,
Yeah.
because I mean it really would be curtains.
Well, then it would be Holding, and
Kiwior.
I'm just shuddering at the thought of it. But unless they go with a back three, to bring in Tierney or someone, because that's the only other.
Because I'm not sure he'll start with Callum Wilson up there. He might, but I think he's more likely to start with Isaacson or Isaacson. Because I know he's kind of dovetailing between the two.
Yeah.
But they both scoring. It's
Callum Wilson's speed and strength that scare me more than Isaac. I know he's a fine player, but I've just seen him tear us a new one before. Last year, I think he was pretty damn good. So yeah, he worries me.
Right, and Jorginho in the middle. Did it? I mean, again, okay, yeah. And not to the.
Did you see the highlights at all?
I've seen the goals, so I thought I was watching a replay of the first goal when I saw. In fact, I was watching the second goal because they were very similar, and then I saw the whole game from about 32, 33 minutes. So I saw the wonderful defensive display from Chelsea for our third goal, which was brilliant. But to be fair, it was my take from the game. Is probably not most people's take, certainly those who watch the whole game, because for me it was quite not quite flat, but it wasn't. It was a more even game. I mean,
certainly the second half.
Yeah, I was apprehensive at 3-1.
Yeah,
because I didn't have any confidence in our defence.
No, and I think I heard an interview with Xhaka, who said that they wanted to really put the foot on the throttle for the second half rather than go easy. And I think what happened was they did start well, but Chelsea also obviously had a rocket up them at half time from good old Frankie boy, and they came out with a bit more intent. Just saving face, I think, more than anything. And when they got that goal, you sensed the apprehension in the crowd, and I think with the team as well. And they just became a bit more cagey. And I'm sure you will. They were playing slightly handbrakey, I felt, in the second half.
Yeah, we still had some chances, and Chelsea didn't really have any gilt-edged chances themselves. But it didn't feel comfortable.
No.
You just thought, well, I know it was 3-1, but this is a 2-0 scoreline, really. And we know how we cope with those scorelines.
I was going to say, that 3-1 was hugely informed. The feeling was hugely informed by what we've been through in the last few weeks. So, in isolation, 3-0 up and cruising and then conceding one, it's a bit, oh, come on, lads. Let's just, like we did against Palace. When we went 3 down, we came straight away and got a fourth. So I think because the narrative's changed since then, we're obviously a lot more nervous.
Yes, it's hard to judge Jorginho in that position.
Again, yeah.
I just think that Partey was so poor against Man City and not brilliant in the previous games either. How much of Saliba's absence is that a knock-on effect from? But I don't know. But Jorginho is a safe option. He just keeps it going, metronomic. He doesn't cede possession, but he doesn't necessarily break between the lines either. But Trossard's an interesting one because I think as a support group, we were all behind Trossard. Trossard had to start. We were a bit less cohesive on who we thought he should start in place of. I would have started him in place of Jesus, but he actually started in place of Martinelli. But regardless of who he starts in front of, he has to start. And I'll just read, I wrote down one statistic over the last 2 days that stood out. And in February, we went 3 games without a win. And in April, we had gone 4 games without a win. What do you think is the one common denominator in those 2 runs?
I
Trossard
think I
did
know
not
this.
start
Yeah,
any of those games.
yeah,
Now, that's got to be more than just a coincidence. So he has to
yeah,
start.
yeah.
But
And
that's tricky because so
who do
who
you
does he start?
drop?
How did he play? Because he didn't have like he wasn't involved in the key moments necessarily. But how was his over? And he was hooked like before the hour mark, which is quite early. How did he play?
I thought he moved really well and was kind of him and Xhaka were actually switching positions. If you notice, for the first two goals, it was Xhaka was the
Yeah,
provider on that left wing kind of thing. And so I mean, he's a clever player, isn't he, Trossard? His positioning is insane and technically as well. So he was just buzzing around, being an absolute nuisance. So although he didn't have direct contributions, I don't think he was just involved in everything we did. Just kept it going in a similar way to Jorginho. In fact, he kind of went unnoticed in a way because he was just doing his job. And again, you have to say Chelsea were awful, and how will Jorginho fare against Newcastle? So I'm sure we'll come to that. But yeah,
so 3-0 up after half an hour or thereabouts, roughly 35 minutes, whatever it was. That surely should have become 4 and 5 and 6.
yeah.
That would have been.
So you were watching from that point, and
Yeah,
there
and
were opportunities.
yes, certainly were opportunities. But I never know how I feel about any game until I start watching it. So, for example, if Man United are playing Liverpool, or Man City are playing Man United, or Spurs are playing, the big one for me would be Spurs playing United, because I have comparable levels of hatred for both.
Yeah, it's difficult to
Irrational
choose a
hatred for
winner.
both. So, and I never, people say, who do we want to win this one? Now, if it's directly affecting Arsenal, then it's quite clear. I'm happy for Spurs to win if that win helps Arsenal. In fact, that makes it even funnier.
Yes.
But I just have this kind of gut reaction to games, and I often won't know until someone has a chance or scores how I feel about it. So I started watching roughly 3-0, and I think I messaged you. I relaxed. I felt we'd win, and I commented aloud to nobody in the room, but that I think we'll win now. And the time was 94 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely did not feel feel relaxed until about that point. It was. So how was it in the stadium?
I don't think it was that tense. It was just like you said earlier. It was a bit flat. The second half, we were wanting to make a sort of statement. You know, they won the second half. You know how they say that thing about the team that's been bollocked at half time will come out and do it for the fans, and they kind of did. Chelsea, to be fair, they definitely put on more of a showing, and we were just, I think by about the 80-minute mark, most of us were fairly relaxed, to be honest. I think it's always harder when you're at home.
Yes.
Watching,
I
feel
hate
powerless.
it. Yeah, I hate
you
it.
can't shout and scream. And there was some wonderful, super Frankie Lampard chants going around the ground, from our lot. And then the Chelsea fans, without a hint of irony, sort of picked up on it and started singing it back to us, and it was just hilarious. And there he was pacing the touchline.
I mean,
the choice of Aubameyang was for me the kind of epitome of Frank Lampard, in that it's that old school management style where he, go and stick one on your old club, go on. There didn't seem to be any tactical reason. The guy hasn't played a game started since they lost to us way back.
Yeah.
And he puts him in there, and he's clearly not match fit, and he's clearly doesn't give a toss. He's just there to.
Well, there's that great statistic. He had 9 touches, 4 of them were kickoffs.
Yes.
So
yeah, I just think he just is thinking about what colour to spray his next Ferrari. I don't think he really. And there was a sort of wry smile, to the crowd as the cameras did the rounds at the beginning, and they show it on the screen, and just what a decision from Lampard.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, I love when I saw that he'd done that. Stefan's always going on about narrative and
Yes.
worried about narrative. This is one narrative I wasn't worried about. It
No,
was
not at
funny.
all.
I didn't think, oh no, Aubameyang's playing. I thought, oh, hilarious.
Yeah.
That is such poor man. Like, I mean, without reading any comments about it, just looking at the name, I mean, I was delighted because Havertz would have been far more effective. And
Yeah.
I'd be more concerned if Mudryk had started, to be fair.
Or João
That's
Felix. What happened to him?
Yeah, I don't know. When his stats haven't been great.
I mean,
But
what's going on there is
it's hilarious. Is
Absolutely
how that finishes.
yeah.
But yeah, he's Lampard's back there. He's had 6 games, 6 defeats. That's
Excellent.
he'll be. Was it they're away to Bournemouth on
And Forest
at the weekend? No, but he becomes
City.
He becomes 007. He becomes James Bond next week
Yes.
if he loses.
Yeah. And I say they give him an 8-year contract, like they have with all the players. Come on, sign him up.
I mean, as deflated as we might feel as a fan base, what's going on at Spurs and Chelsea, superb.
You have to feed off that. And it does offer reflection, doesn't it, in terms of how far we've come, because it wasn't that long ago that we were in the real doldrums. And, we talked about it last week about perspective. And I think even though we were left the game the other night and, we beat Chelsea, but there's still a bit of despondency, isn't there? We're still feeling a bit.
And I think
only.
And I think that's all down to who our challenger is, Manchester City.
Of course.
I think if that was another team, you might hold out some hope that because we beat Chelsea, we went top by 2 points with 4 games to go. It's got to be the most deflated response or anticlimactic response to that position. It's like, because you just don't expect that machine to falter. I do look at the fixture list and you see that City have got to go to Everton sandwiched between the 2 Real Madrid games. So because of that might be a tricky game, and Everton will need to win it. But City's 2 trickiest games, unfortunately, from an Arsenal perspective, are their final 2 games, away to Brighton midweek and away to Brentford on the final weekend. And let's make them have to win those 2 games.
Yeah, well, they'll have to draw or lose one before that to make it.
Well, not to make it, because if you think that.
Well, if we win all of ours,
if we win our games, then they could win at Brighton to win the league, so the penultimate game. But we have to beat Newcastle on Sunday.
Yes,
I think they've lost once at home.
Yep,
all season.
Yep. Look, stats are there to be, broken. I don't want.
We owe them for last year.
Yep. We do, and we're good enough in attack. I think it's just what's going on behind that is slightly. And as you said about Gabriel, we need to be taking him up there.
Yeah. So what team then do you? Right. Okay. So do you play with a similar attitude or approach that you had at Man City?
Well, I thought the City formation was all wrong. When we talked about it, I just felt that we'd played too much of a sort of as if we had the momentum. Had we had the momentum of 3 wins behind us going into that City game, then by all means, stay with your team that's been doing so well. But they weren't doing well, and the changes should have probably come. Certainly for the Southampton game. So I'm thinking, and I don't know enough about Newcastle, to be honest with you, about how they set up in midfield. I know Guimaraes is their kind of danger man, but they're all pretty pacey, aren't they? And that's where I worry about Jorginho getting turned. So at the moment, I'm kind of thinking Zinchenko left back, a more disciplined Zinchenko, because again, if Chelsea were any better, they would have damaged us more. With Zinchenko was a little bit scatty the other night.
Well, he was culpable for their goal.
But just generally, he's I love the fact that he's so kind of positive, and does make some really good, incisive kind of passes. But defensively it worries me. But I would still go with it. I would still go with him. It's just whether or not we could play a double pivot. That would be my only sort of concession, really.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
With the news that Brighton have scored a 99th minute penalty winner against Manchester United.
That's glorious.
I am very happy with that.
That's in Fergie time. That's brilliant.
99th minute. That's nearly half time in extra time.
I was looking at the table actually today, thinking United are going to get their 20th win soon, but I just want it to not be tonight.
Well, interestingly enough, that does, like, Liverpool are only 4 points behind United now. Okay, they've played a game more, and it does mean that actually with the goal difference, Man United can't finish above us. So,
where are Brighton now? There must be.
Brighton are
7th?
They're 6th. They're 4 points behind Liverpool, but have 2 games in hand on Liverpool.
They're above Spurs now.
Yes, they are 1 point above Spurs with 2 games in hand.
Oh, superb! Does that mean Spurs end up in that trashy Euro conference?
At the moment, they are, but only because they've got a +6 goal difference compared to Aston Villa's +4. They're both on 54 points. However, Brighton have to come to us, so I don't want Brighton getting too cocky.
Yeah, carried away with themselves.
Yeah. But anyway, that's
good. That's good.
I'm happy with that.
So, what are your thoughts on the Newcastle lineup?
Newcastle are not Man City. That's the first thing I'd want to say. So I don't want to change too much about how we play to legislate for their strengths. I think that absolutely should have been done ahead of the Man City game. You mentioned a double pivot, perhaps, but Holding not starting, Kivior. It's funny, isn't it? People have an issue with 2 left-footed centre-backs playing, but rarely have an issue with 2 right-footed centre-backs playing. I don't understand that. So why couldn't Kivior have come in?
I don't know.
On the right-hand side of the pair before that? I know he didn't have a great game. Who did he play against? He wasn't fantastic. Was it the Europa League?
Yeah.
But I do think that Arteta and us have paid for not using the squad more because the players weren't up to speed straight away and not ready.
Yeah,
I would be playing Kivior and I'd be playing Trossard, and I would probably play the team that played against Chelsea, to be fair. The one possibility might be Tierney for Zinchenko, just to make us a bit more secure. Yeah. I think that Jacob Murphy's been on fire down the Newcastle right. I don't know.
I'd be happy with that, and in a way, because Tierney does dovetail well with Martinelli, and if Martinelli keeps that left berth, but then where do you put Trossard? Is he going to be a false 9, or is he going to be? I don't know.
I mean, Jesus has actually got a really good scoring record since he's returned from injury. Yeah. I'd still play Trossard instead of him.
Instead of him?
Yeah, I would.
As a 9?
It's what I would have done. It's what I would have done before the Chelsea game. I love Jesus and I love what he's brought to the team and the club. And I have said before that I do get frustrated by him, though. I do think he misses far too many chances for his position.
Yeah.
He needs to be scoring. I know he's into double figures now and he has missed 4 months of the season. So, You know
Yeah,
that, but he had gone a long. There was a long run of games
12
without scoring.
games or
He was
something. Yeah,
on beforehand.
yeah, yeah.
So I think, and I would love us to buy an upgrade on him in the summer,
Mm,
and Jesus covers, because we've been rumored that, like, for Rafinha, but I think Jesus can be that player for us, and we get a striker, somebody who's more clinical, and I would be confident
mm,
going to Newcastle if we had a clinical number 9. Now I don't know, is Trossard a clinical number 9 either? He has played there. He scored a hat trick away at Anfield. The guy knows where the net is. I don't want to watch the Newcastle game and come away and be bemoaning more missed chances. Oh, we should have won that game if Jesus had scored that. Because the Southampton game, Jesus missed 2 or 3 gilt-edged chances
yeah,
in the Southampton game. It should never, ever have
yeah.
been a scramble 3-3 in injury time. And I just, that sense of frustration I've still got. It's, the West Ham game as well. There were missed chances in those games. And I know he scored against West Ham. He didn't score against Southampton, did he? Ødegaard, Saka. Who got the first one? I can't remember. Ødegaard and Saka got the second and third. But
God knows. It's a blur.
so it's. I think you've got to get Trossard in the team. I think Martinelli was a bit unlucky to miss out. I think he's been on a reasonably good run of form, and his numbers are good. Saka had a bit of a blip, came back again. He was anonymous against Man City, but then so were the rest of them. How did Saka play against Chelsea, actually?
It wasn't his most kind of. It wasn't anonymous, but he wasn't. It didn't feature as much, I guess. It was mostly happening down the left, certainly for the goals. He was okay, but just not. I guess he would have. I think if he'd needed to, you felt like he could have kicked it up a gear, as probably the whole team could have done. Certainly in that second half. What did you make of it?
Well, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't really aware that he was involved much, to be fair. But again, I don't think.
It wasn't like he was bad. It's just that.
No, but we weren't. We'd taken our foot off the pedal at this point, and Chelsea had. It was a typical response to one team being 3 goals ahead of another team.
Yeah.
That there's always going to be a psychological, a subconscious. Well, we don't need to go hell for leather here. We're 3-0 up.
Except for Stefan's narrative, that's the thing, isn't it? Is like we said, once that goal went in, it wasn't a case of let's put our foot back on the pedal. It was more a case of, oh crap, we could concede another one.
The next goal. I was thinking the next goal. If Chelsea get the next goal, I'm going for a run.
Yeah.
That was my very real threat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd be tempted to start with the same team that started against Chelsea at Newcastle as well. I think we have started fast in every game apart from, well, okay, not true. Southampton and City, 2 games we didn't start fast in, but we had been, quick out of the blocks.
What do you think Arteta will do? Because we have our opinions.
I think he'll play Partey. I think Kivior will play. I think Partey will play. He'll bring Partey back in, and Xhaka. He'll stick with that, and Ødegaard, and
it's just the front. Oh, and Zinchenko or Tierney?
No, he'll play Zinchenko. And actually, I think Trossard might drop back to the bench.
Yeah.
But that's what I think Arteta will do. I don't.
Yeah, no, but I'm interested to know what you think, because I kind of agree with you in that he will always revert to his kind of tried and tested almost. He's kind of loyal in that way, isn't he? And they're so well drilled as a team that ideal first 11. Okay, missing a couple, but I agree with you. I think he will. Although I'd like to see something like the double pivot, but I don't think we're going to get it. I think because he hasn't done it all season.
Yeah, I
Like the
think
back three.
if he didn't do it at Liverpool and Man
Certainly
City,
Southampton. Well, like I said, he would have been priming it in a previous game, and as he didn't do it for Southampton, it's like I don't think it's going to come like a back three or anything like that.
and not that it really matters much, boo-hoo, but Man City have Leeds at home on Saturday at 3:00.
New manager bounce.
Yeah,
Sam
sure.
Allardyce, come on.
I mean, listen, I will jump all over the Sam Allardyce bandwagon if they get anything out of it. Is the easiest game you can conceive.
Fish in a barrel, isn't it?
It's like Leeds, who've conceded something like, I don't know, 185,000 goals this season against a player, let alone a team, a player who's is how many goals is it? Dixie Deeney's all-time record.
35 is he now?
He's on 35 league, but he's got 51. I think he's like nine goals away
Dixie
from
Dean's record, is he?
Yeah, in the season, all competitions.
That's crazy. But no, I don't hold out much hope either. But let's see. Stranger things have happened.
So we'll be 4 points behind.
Yeah.
At kickoff away at Newcastle. Do you know what? Yeah. The more I'm thinking about that Newcastle game, the more I'm thinking I'm not going to watch it. I've got to do my hair that day. Runs. I'll wash my hair or something. I don't know. It's I'm getting I shouldn't. I hadn't got nervous since the Southampton game. I'm getting nervous again now.
No, I'm kind of not. I just want us to give a good account of ourselves, and these are the games that we want to be playing as title contenders. At this stage of the season, for the last however many seasons, they've all been kind of dead rubbers and nothing to play for, and just a case of let's not get beaten by too much. And now we're competing, and I want to see.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I want to take that a little step further. I'd like to be competing with our best team.
Unfortunately, not possible. But here's the lesson is here, I guess, in our squad building, that Holding has taken some pelters, and I think he's a good defender, but just not in the Arsenal setup. That's if we played 10 yards further back with a traditional kind of he's a kind of up your arse defender. He doesn't like being turned, so he's likely to drop off more. There's nothing wrong with that in the right setup, but we don't accommodate that, and we need a squad where there's interchangeability with those kind of players, and he's getting to that. I think this summer again we're going to see hopefully a few key signings and to address that. But
further evolution. But there is just a huge drop off in quality for what we want from Saliba to Holding, and we've just been kind of the double whammy is that Tomiyasu was injured, because he could have come in at right back and Ben White could have slotted in at centre back, and we probably wouldn't have noticed any difference in team performance. But City, with all the money, where are their injuries? I know De Bruyne didn't play last night, but still.
No, they've lucked out, haven't they? Unless they've got some kind of special doctor injecting them with God knows what. I don't know.
Well, wasn't the allegedly there are a disproportionate number of Liverpool players with asthma.
Oh.
No, so I didn't. That made no sense to me until the last 6 months. I don't have asthma. Well, that's what I say. I think I might do, but I used to really struggle on runs, and I didn't realise I would struggle on runs until my daughter gave me an asthma pump, and I could run. My chest was open. I wasn't. So I'm not suggesting at all that Man City are in any way, shape, or form
on Ventolin.
Yeah, that's it, on Ventolin. Yeah. That well-known hardcore,
Yeah,
addictive, performance-enhancing drug.
yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, no. I think they've just got luck to go with their talent. And let's hope the Premier League have some good lawyers. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, Man United losing today has solidified our chances of second, certainly. So, as someone said, finish second. So
Oh, that's nailed on, surely.
when they're stripped of their title, we become
Yeah,
champions.
yeah, de facto. Yeah, I think so.
And I don't care how we get it.
No. Yeah, earlier in the season, we were, no, we want to win it, honestly and with no interference from all point docking. Give me the point docking now.
Yeah. 5 points would be nice. I'd settle for that.
The points that we dropped at West Ham and Southampton, please. Those 4, I'll take those.
And the 2 points that the VAR official took off us.
Brentford, yeah.
That'd be nice too.
As well. But yeah.
Right, so give me a score. Stefan won't do this. Give me a score prediction for Newcastle.
I'm gonna go draw. I'm gonna go like 1-1. I just don't think we've got enough to edge it, unfortunately.
I'll join you.
Yeah.
Getting splinters in the backside on that fence.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'm sitting on the fence in like I would. I just think.
Let me paint this scenario for you. It's 1-1. It's the 85th minute.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You have to go for it, don't you?
Yes.
And risk losing it.
Yeah,
it's worth losing that. It's worth losing that game trying to win it.
Yeah.
Because the draw is absolutely no good to us at all.
No, but that's just my head says we haven't got quite enough to they're a good outfit. I just feel like that's where we're at the moment. Where form wise, the Chelsea game was almost like a kind of, they came along at the right time. If it was any other team, I think
we have been scoring goals though.
Yeah, but yes, we have. I mean, the Southampton game those are the sort of. I want to see us score first and hold on. Really, and we did that against Chelsea, just to be a bit more stable. And I just feel
it's the security at the back. I think is and I don't know whether that can't all be parked at the door of Saliba's absence.
It's a team thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
you defend as a team, and I just feel you can't blame everything on Saliba. They have to find solutions. You can't just play the same kind of formation and expect Holding to do what Saliba does. Like I said earlier, he's a different kind of defender.
Well, I think that was the problem, wasn't it? Because Partey dropped back against City to give him more support, but left gaping holes in the middle.
Right. And then you've got Ødegaard running back, trying to catch up, and you don't want that. You want him further up. So it was, it's.
Should Ødegaard shoot more?
Well, he did all right the other night, didn't he?
That's why. He's got a wand of a left foot.
He does. Yeah.
He's got 14 goals as well. That's a hell of a return. That's a Robert Pires esque return for this season.
Yeah. It's nearly up there with Cesk's best season, believe it or not, as well as a midfielder. I think he's he kind of had the yips a bit, didn't he? Where you'd want him to shoot and he'd look for the cute little pass, and you think just leather it. But I think it's coming, and I'm hoping next season we'll see a lot of them kind of heading towards their ceiling. I won't say reach it, but
they're all so young.
There's a lot to come from them, and that again gives me a lot of hope in the way that we're evolving. So
I'm sure, and we'll do a podcast on potential signings and the dream team, the wish list, and the reality. And so when I see it looks like Jude Bellingham's going to Real Madrid,
Is that a fact?
It's well, Fabrizio Romano
Oh God!
tweeted it, so it's as close to a fact as it's possible to
dear.
get in
Okay.
football. So I'm actually pleased about that because we
Because
were
he's
not
going. Yeah,
we
he's
were
gonna
not
go
getting
to
him. So
yeah.
if he'd gone to Liverpool, which was the first
Yeah.
possible destination, then that kind of elevates them considerably. Man City were interested in him. I mean,
Yeah.
might as well pack up your bags and go home if Man City got him. I desperately didn't want Manchester United to get him.
No. That's good. It's good if he goes to. You're right. If he goes to Real. Yeah.
I won't be saying that when he scores the winner in the Champions League final against us next year, but hey.
Let's get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Stefan's going to the game on. Oh, he might be on Sunday. I'm not sure now. So the three of us will be behind fingers and sofas and watching on telly. Especially when Leeds defy all sporting odds.
That would be the worst, wouldn't it? As if Leeds
and win,
and then we don't. That would be the worst. Really, that would hurt.
Yes, it would. It would. But anyway, let's keep everything crossed that Leeds actually do that, and then we can worry about what we don't do afterwards. Right, lovely. We'll catch up again after the Newcastle game. I think it's 4:30 kickoff on Sunday, so earlier than midweek podcast. So that's all right. Okay, take care. Have a good one. Thank you very much.